Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. I hope everybody's doing great today. So we have a cool project on tap for today. We are going to turn one of the blanks that we made last time into a pen. And the reason this came about, I would have otherwise, just sold the blank, but Mr. Cooper, KidCooper down there, he wanted to get in on the action for the fundraiser, but he doesn't turn pens. So he's like, could you turn the pen and I'll just, pay for the blank and the pen. So we're going to be raising a little bit of money on today's stream, turning one of these guys up, and we get to see what these things look like. I'm excited to see that. So I'm going to be putting it on a Junior Herald. I was looking, I'm starting to run out of kits, but I was digging through the pile and I got a Junior Herald. I thought that would look pretty cool on this blank. And it should be pretty fun. So let's see here. Two quick announcements. We are down to, these are the two final blanks out of the blanks that we made last week. And then this is the Koa. So there's only two of them left on my website. So if you want to get in on the action, those are probably going to be the last two blanks for the Maui Strong fundraiser. Let me get I don't think I put a link yet. Let's see here. I think there's a link in the description. So I'm just going to put a link to the limited editions section on my website. These are the first two. So what that means is once these two sell, we're going to raise $600 more with the blanks, and then this one's actually going to be $100. So $700 total on the second round. That's pretty nuts. That's pretty crazy. So I'm looking forward to this. Let's see here. You can't post links, but CJ's Hobbies, if you guys check out my Instagram, I got a link to his eBay auction for a pen. I don't have it right now, and you can't post links in the chat, unfortunately. So we'll just send people to my Instagram. I posted that in, I think it was a reel or stories. I'm not sure. So anyway, let's see here. Who do we got? Who was here first? Looks like, according to my thing, it says Kim was here first. And then we got Mark and Lelia. And Jean's here. And Tim. Of course, Brian's here. And let's see here. CJ, of course. Old Man River. Sweet. I see Paul up there or not? Oh, Paul's down here for sure. And Mike. Cool. And Brian's here. Cool. All right, so one quick thing, if you didn't see my post, if you're going to be drilling hybrid blanks, I highly recommend using a brad point bit. Let me go grab, just in case, most of you guys know all this stuff, but there might be somebody that either stumbles upon this stream or is watching now in the background that doesn't necessarily know this, and it can really save you from some problems, I would say. So most people use just a normal twist bit. That's what you can get these at like Home Depot, and it's just like your standard drill bit, right? The problem is this has nothing to keep it on track. And when you're dealing with, even if you're just doing just a wood pen blank, these are really not the best to drill into wood because it tends to want to wander all over the place. There's nothing keeping it centered. So instead, brad point bits are really the way to go for wood, but also for something like this. I mean, we got a harsh angle here. These two materials, although the wood was stabilized, it's not the same like density, hardness. And so, again, you got grain with the wood, but this brad point, this spur, is going to help keep this bit on track. This little point is leading into the material, and it'll help keep it centered. Now, somebody, I think it was Mark, pointed out, brad points are not perfect. It's not going to be absolutely perfect, but compared to a twist bit, I mean, these things are absolutely horrible in wood and mixed materials like this, especially when they have like harsh angles and stuff. So just be aware, brad points are your friend when it comes to, wood and or kind of density issues, mixed material blanks. That's generally what you want to do. And Mark had mentioned on my post, you can also, if you want, use a center drill. I don't know personally, it's a good idea, and I do that when I'm doing I use a center drill when I'm drilling like the custom pens. and I guess it would help. I don't use them on brad points because I think the brad points kind of doing the same thing. But you could pick up these. These are something that you are going to want to use, and they can be helpful with twist bits just to kind of get them started. But I want to mention, you know, so again, those are the two wood, you know, wood blanks, and then also mixed materials. That's where I generally recommend using the brad points. I use twist bits for if it's just all resin. I'm just going to use twist bits. They should be fine. And this can, you know, like having a nice square edge on the you know, the leading edge of the blank, and even using a centering bit like this. They're just very rigid. It'll just give you a little point, and the drill bit's got somewhere to start. They can be very helpful. I recommend that for, especially if you're doing the kitless blanks. But you know, keeping your drill bit on track and centered off the bat is a good way to go for any of your pen blanks. But anyway, so that's what I did for these. And like I said, brad points are not going to be absolutely dead on perfect in all cases. In this case, the holes were pretty good. So I usually find that the brad point's good enough. If you're gluing tubes in like this, it's usually pretty good. Some materials, some harder materials, or really wavy grain if it's going off in a weird direction. Sometimes you can run into issues, but generally the brad point's just going to kind of save you. Now the other little, let's see, news item, Turner's Warehouse is having a sale on their Independence pen kits, and it's like 25% off. Do I have an Independence? I don't think I do. I don't think I do. The Independence is the 1774, what am I trying to say? 1776. Is that the right number? I'm totally confused at this point. Trying to think and talk. Yeah, 1776. You know, for like Independence Day kind of stuff. And it has We the People around the band. So, did I drop the link? Yeah, so there's a link to their just to their website if you want to get in on that. They're selling just the kits for 25% off, and I think there's like 3 or maybe even 4 different platings. There's 4 different platings. Is there 4? I guess there's 4. There's an antique copper, looks like, antique brass, antique silver, and one other one. I'm not sure what the other one is. Maybe, oh, brass. Did I say brass? Bronze, copper? I don't know. There's a couple different ones. They also have like this starter set, which comes with all 4 of the different platings for the kits. So 4 different kits plus the bushings, and that's 25% off. Like that's a pretty hefty discount. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. They do on every Saturday. I don't know for how long they're going to be doing this, but every Saturday they have a sale that they do. So it's sale Saturday. I don't know. And that's this week's sale. It's a pretty juicy one, I think. So pretty excited. Okay, so is there anything else that I need to share? I would show you the blanks, but most of them are already shipped out. So I guess let me show you this. This is what we did last week. This is one of them. We did quite a few of them. So we did green, purple, and gold. Pretty excited. So anyway, like I said, somebody needs to pick these guys up. We need to get those things going. They'll go out on Monday. And then we'll be, let's see, in total, if we can sell those, let's see, we made 11, I'm gonna count, so Turner's Warehouse donated $100 last time, and I'm gonna add that into our total because they kind of did it in conjunction just to support, and they just sent in a donation. No blanks were transferred. So we raised $1,100 last time, and then if we, you know, with this, hopefully everything will go good on this pen, with the pen, and then if we sell these 2 blanks, that'll be a total of $1,800 that we will have raised, which is pretty phenomenal, I think. I mean, it's not a huge number. It's not like we're, you know, Microsoft donating billions to these things, but I think, you know, close to $2,000 in a few weeks for, you know, a few people, handful, pretty awesome, pretty cool. All right, so let's head over. Let's see, is there any questions? No questions. Okay, so we're going to send that in. Oh, that's the wrong camera. We're going to do that. There we go. All right, so let's get over to the lathe. So again, this is just a junior, you know, the junior series pen kit. Let's get this thing rolling here. My tailstock going. Okay. So this is the cap section. I'm gonna get my little tiny tool rest out. I'm gonna use a standard carbide. I kind of find that with the mixed materials, sometimes they can do a little bit better job. If I start running into any issues or anything like that, then I might switch to the negative rake. I just find on stabilized woods, negative rakes work great on the, you know, although it's not brittle, but on any, like on resins and things like that, that can be kind of maybe chippy. I just find that the negative rakes struggle a little bit more on like stabilized woods. It works, but it kind of just pulverizes it instead of like cuts it a lot of times. Especially if your bit is not kind of like super sharp, if it's kind of, you know, you've been using it for a while. So the standard cutters, it's still a good idea. You know, I highly recommend, if you're turning resin, to get the negative rake cutters, to have some. But that doesn't mean that, you know, you should just throw out all your standard cutters. The standard ones work for certain things as well. Let's see here, where's my cutter? There it is. So again, just the standard, you know, flat one. And if you, for anybody that, I'll just mention it, I guess, for anybody that's watching that doesn't know, and I don't know if this is going to actually pick up the difference here. Try and hold these things. So your standard cutters are just flat. Comes up to an edge, a point, and the thing is, these are a little bit more aggressive, all right? But they also cut quite well, and they'll work faster. The negative rake cutters, let's see if I can not shake the camera. Stop bouncing. The negative rake cutters have a little bit of a negative rake cut in. There's like I don't know if that's picking it up. I can't even see. Let me put some glasses on so I can look at my viewfinder. See if I can maybe like zoom in from here. There you go. So there's like a little negative rake cut into the top of that, and what that's doing is basically it's effectively tilting the angle down, the cutting angle. All right, so just to give you kind of a demonstration, what a lot of people started doing was actually raising their tool rest with these when they were doing resins or anything that was kind of brittle or chippy, and they would induce a negative rake angle, but you're holding the tool up. You know, let me back up and show you how uncomfortable this looks. And Carl Jacobson was really one of the first people to start doing this. And that's part of the reason where these negative rake cutters came from, is because Carl has a good relationship with EasyWood tools. So you're effectively holding the tool like this. It is just not fun. It's really difficult to be turning like that. And so EasyWood Tools was like, hey, why don't we just put a negative angle on some cutters and make it a little bit easier? And so once they did that, man, I mean, game changer for resins. It just, and a lot of people before that were using like a scraper, and then they would put a negative rake on the scraper. So all these ideas have been kind of around in turning for quite a while. It's just EasyWood Tools was the first to come out with this, you know, just the cutter itself having that negative rake. And it, man, I mean, it makes a huge difference. If you haven't used them, definitely try them out. Just grab one, give it a shot, and tell me what you think about the negative rake if you haven't used them before. And again, it really works best on like resins and stuff. Okay, so enough talk about standard and negative and all these cutters and things going on. Where's my chat? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, well, and you know, I mean, I honestly, I still use negative rakes on stabilized woods, but it becomes more dusty, and so I think you're just better off using a standard cutter. One other thing you could do is, again, like I was saying, these are the standard cutters are a little bit more aggressive, which means you can kind of hog off more material quicker. And so what you could do also is to get it mostly a lot of the material taken off, and then if you're a little worried about any chips or anything like that, then you just swap out your cutter. You know, go to the negative rake, and it'll be, even on the wood, it'll be a little less aggressive. So there's, you mix and match, you know. Do all kinds of different stuff. All right. And one other thing is, so understanding, so when it comes to turning, and this is why, okay, so these easy wood tools and any other, you know, carbide tool, they always tell you to come in at, you know, dead on center on your blank, and to come in like, you know, level, horizontal. And the thing is, if you are tilted up, that's probably going to be the worst case scenario, because that's an extremely aggressive cut. It's really digging into, you know, grain on the wood, or just digging into the material. That's very aggressive, and if it's going up. Horizontal's like neutral, and then, you know, tipping down is a little bit less aggressive. All right, so even if you have a standard cutter on, you still have the power to move this thing around. And if you want to just take a little bit of the aggressiveness out of it, then just tilt it up a little bit, right? So there's lots of different things you can do. It's just understanding what does what, you know, can really help you get the best results possible. All right, looking good so far. I can get you guys in a little bit closer here. Hopefully I was even on the blank. I don't know if I even looked at that. You get this light out of the way. Here we go. Now I can zoom a little bit. There we go. So we've almost got it round. But it's looking pretty good. I think this is going to be kind of cool. And the nice thing is we can also, you know, this is an easy alignment when we put the pen together too. So that's nice. Yeah, that's going to be kind of cool looking. I don't think I've ever made blanks like that before, and I was kind of like, it seems like it'd be kind of cool. I don't know, you know. Let's give it a shot, see what they look like. let's see here. Yeah, you can sharpen, the negative rakes can't be sharpened, but, you know, and that's a drawback, but I'll tell you what, they're still worth buying, you know. And the other thing is, I mean, you can sharpen these, but it just isn't the same. I don't know. I've never been able to get them exactly the same as new out of the box edge. You know, with the diamond card and all that stuff, lapping fluid. You can give it a little bit, like I would say you can extend the life, but it doesn't, to me, seem like it's like exactly the same as a brand new cutter. Twisted 45 degrees. You could do that too, like this. I don't know that that's making it less aggressive. I don't know a whole lot about that. It's kind of like a skew, I guess. I don't know. I do know some people turn that way, and I'm actually kind of turning this just a little bit sometimes. So I mean, you can move him around and do whatever you want. Because I find a lot of times, like these bars are so skinny, and I don't know if this is just my own me thing. This is probably because I don't have perfect turning skills either. But I find that this thing can turn a little bit. It's not a very wide, you know, thing, and I end up you end up kind of getting some wear on the bottom sometimes. So a lot of times it's almost easier just to be on one point, but you want to make sure that you're only doing it, you're like tilting it in the direction of the cut. You don't want to, you can get chips and weird stuff if you change it. So a lot of times I'll just do that to make the cut smoother. It's more like the motion smoother, I guess. Like I said, that might just be me not really having excellent turning fundamentals or something. I'm pretty handy, you know, like I move my hands less than my body, but I find for like pens, it's kind of hard to do the hip sway movement thing. All right, we're getting close. Getting close here, guys. That looks pretty cool. You guys got a good view of the blank? Now, I didn't swirl it up or anything, and I was kind of doing that on purpose just to see how everything turned out. Pretty cool. If you want more swirls and stuff, just dip the stick in there, you know, when you're pouring them, and you'll get, you know, those colors kind of mixed up a little bit there. All right, we're getting pretty close to the bushing. I'm gonna stop it and just kind of feel, see how much more we need. There's just a little lip there. This got kind of bulbous right in here, so got a little bit of work to do on this side here for sure. I'm getting down, looking at the profile. It's still a little bit fat up top. That's looking pretty good. All right, so let's stop this guy again. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. I might take a little bit more off because I'm probably going to put a finish on this. I have to make sure that I've gotten, you don't want that material sticking over too far because it can be kind of proud of the kit in the end. Shaping's still kind of weird here. I like to have a little bit of a bow to it, but I kind of went a little bit deep on this end, so it's going to be a little bit flatter than my normal caps would be. Okay, I think that's good. Let's do a little bit of sanding now. I think I can maybe get away with 400 off the bat. We'll give it a shot and see how it's sanding. Might drop to 220. Mark's here. What's up, man? Doing a little bit of turning. Okay, so I like to sand it a little bit and kind of take a look and see what the tool marks are looking like, and they're really not that bad, so let's just keep on trucking. that's looking good. So 400, I'm gonna do a little bit, we're gonna go up to, I'm gonna hit it with, I have a 500, it's 500 pad. And so it just takes out some of the roughness in your 400. Probably not even totally necessary in any way. But I'm gonna wipe this off with some alcohol real quick before I move up to that 500. You could probably just use water even. Okay, so that's looking pretty good right there. I'm just gonna give it a little bit, and this is actually even pretty old, so it's kind of dull. I'm just trying to take out some of the radial scratches that are 400 grit. Just kind of smooth that out, because that's going to go under the finish. And if you had just kind of a little bit of a deeper gouge, let's say, that might show up in the finish itself. You don't want to go too high with sanding before you put a finish on, because it needs to adhere to something, you know. So I don't really recommend sanding to like 2,000 or something like that. Maybe up to 1,000 is fine. I really wouldn't go any higher than that. With some of the woods, you know, there may be grain and stuff like that, so that's a different story. This is stabilized, so it is a pretty, although there is probably some grain, some grit on this wood, it has been kind of filled in by the stabilizing resin. So it's kind of a crapshoot. Like I said, my rule of thumb is I don't really go higher than 1,000. Before I put a finish on. Kind of is like for resin, you know, stuff like that, hybrids. Had to get a new paper towel roll going here. Okay, so we're ready to put some finish on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with, I like to use this super fast thin from Starbond. And what that is it's very, very thin, extremely thin. And so I just give it a little bit of a quick dousing, just in case there was maybe like a little area where between the wood and the resin there was kind of like a crack or something like that. Stuff like that, like almost microscopic things like that is what this is good for. So I just put it on, and I'm not going to use accelerator or anything like that, because what I want it to do is seep into any cracks if there are any. I'm just going to let that spin. All right, let's see here. Mark's just checking in late to the show. That's cool. I appreciate you stopping by, even if you can't stay. All right, so like I said, I like to let that dry, and then I use the back of my fingers to see if things are dry. It looks like, I mean, it's definitely dry. It looks like we got a little bit of a coating going. So then I switch to, I like to use the thin flex. Another good one is the BSI, Bob Smith Industries. Do they call it Gold Plus or something like that? Super Plus? I don't know. That one's a good one too, and it doesn't smell either. So we'll just put a little dip on. And with this one, you do want to use accelerator. The flex versions of these mercury CAs are meant to be used in conjunction with the spray. And I try to just kind of get on and get off, you know, to get this CA as smooth as possible, to lay it down as smooth as possible. And that's one of the reasons why I like the thin. I'd rather put more coats of this on because it goes on very thin, and I find that I can get it, you know, flattened out pretty well. So I'm not sanding as much. But a lot of people like to use the medium flex, or like a medium viscosity. And that works okay. I find that I'm better personally at using the thin stuff. It's thick enough viscosity for me. But everybody's kind of got their own like method. You know, you're gonna have to, if you're kind of new to CA finishes, I feel your pain, and it is something that you kind of need to find the way that works best for you. But there's lots of different ways to do it, and you'll find it. You just need to keep trying different ones, and eventually you'll kind of find one that you kind of feel like you latch onto a little bit, and then at that point you just got to keep doing it. But it's not that hard, you know, for the most part. You just got to practice a little bit. What did you learn today? Did I share something useful? And like some people use just like a glove finger, the CA doesn't soak into that. If you do it that way, what I find is you very easily glue your bushings to the blank. That happens more often because you're laying down more of the CA glue kind of than I'm doing, because this paper towel is absorbing some of it. So just kind of be aware of, you know, there's always like little things with all this stuff. And even different paper towel brands kind of work a little bit differently. These are Bounty, and they're pretty absorbent. So I'm putting on a pretty thin coat. It looks like we're kind of getting to the point where maybe I'll put on one more. I think we should be good. Yeah, you don't have to use any brands that I'm using. I think kind of most people do not like stick fast. That one is the one that most, like out of over the years, that one people tend to not like too much. They have the most problems with, at least. But there are lots of good brands. Starbond's a really good brand. I like a lot of their CA glues, so if you wanted to try them out, they're good. The Mercury's been pretty good. I like the clarity of this, and I like the viscosity. So it's not so much like, you'll get to the point where you know, like there's certain brands that are fine. Lots of very good brands, let's say, that the product works fine across the board on a lot of them. The big differences are going to be sometimes like they are a little bit more clearer, or you may feel that they are clearer, you know, I don't know. But a lot of it has to do just with the viscosity and the working time, like the open time, how you know, in conjunction with how you apply it. That's kind of what it came down to for me. Like I said, I kind of like the clarity of the Mercury. There's other ones that were just as clear, but the viscosity and the kind of working time of it seems to work really well for the way that I do it. So that's why I kind of stick with it. Tried other ones here and there, and I just didn't, it wasn't the same. And I've been using it for so long that I kind of, there's a little bit of muscle memory, you know. All right, so I'm just going to give this a quick, oh, that sandpaper's kind of dead already. I'm going to get a new piece. There we go. And all I'm doing is taking off the ridges. I don't want to take a whole lot of this stuff off. But you can see there's still shiny spots, so got a little bit more to do. Alright, now that's pretty good. There's only a couple little spots here, which I'm going to just kind of spot sand, go in the other direction. That's good enough. And then let's see here, we're going to switch over to the wet sanding so I can turn the dust collection off, which is nice. Quiet. Okay. And I'm going to move over to the Zona papers, do a little bit of wet sanding here. The AC bushings. I'm not sure what AC bushings are. You mean like the non-stick ones? I have some, but they you can still kind of get things stuck on some of those plastics. My biggest thing is the way that I do things. I don't like those triangle things, the cones, which you kind of need to use a mandrel with those anyway, which I don't really want to use. But I mean, I have a pair of these cone ones. And these, they're fine, but I find that it gets in the way. I mean, I guess I could trim them down, but what I would rather have is just Delrin bushings made, non-stick, that are the actual size. That would work just better for the way that I do things personally, but there's nothing wrong. That's a good way to go. You won't get your bushings stuck. Thing is, the way that I do it, I don't get them stuck to the point where I can't get it off. All right, so that's looking good. Now, and this is a good time to, before I do any more work, a lot of times I'll actually pop these, because they probably are, well, so they're not stuck. See, this one's stuck on there a little bit, but I cracked it. Now the problem is there's going to be some little jagged stuff on the edge there. And so what I do is just sand that off. I have a, this is the only thing that I use mandrels for. That just gets rid of any CA, finished stuff that was hanging over little cracks or whatever off the edge. Because if that's still sitting there, when you, one thing you could kind of pull it up, possibly when I put it back on the bushings, or when you assemble your pen, if there's excess CA glue hanging off the edge there, it's going to crack your finish when it hits the piece. And then the other thing is you also just want to make sure that there's nothing, you can just soak these in acetone if you wanted. A lot of times if I'm just putting them right back on, I can just kind of use my finger. It depends on how much you've got on these things, though. You know, how much you want to be just using your fingernail to do this. There's just a very thin coat because I sand some of it off, and I don't really get a lot on the bushings themselves, like a very significant amount. Now, I have tried using just the glove method, and I get these things stuck royally when I do it that way. So I wouldn't recommend this if you're just using your gloved finger to apply it. But I don't find that you really need to put huge amounts of CA finish on these things, really. So you need to get enough. All right, so we're going to switch to the gray. I think I need a new gray piece. I've been using that same one for a long time, and I got plenty. Okay, so move on to here, do some gray. Oh, AC. Acetone? Oh, acetone. Yeah. Acetone will dissolve CA glue. So that's something to keep in mind. CA glue isn't really durable. It's a good durable finish, and it's obviously very quick to put on compared to many other ones. But you do need to watch out because acetone will dissolve your finish on your pens. So just watch out, you know, with that. But if you do get it totally stuck, now really I'd recommend if you cannot get them off, just pull out if you have a, like one of these diamond tools, or if you've got it like a skew chisel or something like that. Where's my skew? I just cut them. All right, so I'll just try and now this is tough. I would, you don't want to be on the inside, but you can just cut a line in there, and that will, very gently. You don't need a lot. You could even do it manually. Get your tool rest up and just, but that's the way. If I get them totally stuck for some reason, that's how I get them unstuck. But you got to be careful, because if you're cutting on the the blank side of that thing, then you're gonna have to reapply that finish for sure. But there's easy ways to get them off, and if there's no way to get them off, just soak it in acetone. It'll come right off. But that could affect your blank. It's not going to do anything to the resin, but it could have some effects on other materials that you have in your blank. Okay, so guess what time it is, guys? Magic juice time. The juice is loose. Okay, let me just arrange my little pieces here. Get rid of this guy. Okay. We'll do our magic juice real quick here. And we'll get worked on the body. All right, so a few things that I've found. We were playing around with different these pads, and I think they're okay. They're not bad. You're definitely going to get some fuzz on some of these, but let's see here. So these cotton round things, they work okay. I don't know that it's significantly better than the Scott towels. It's just some of this stuff is really tough. Now, and again, these things just rip apart really easily. So my thing is, I think the Scott towels, the blue, I think those things are reasonable at least halfway through the magic juice. I really just don't think that you need to employ weird pads. I'd say probably a good halfway through the magic juice polish. I don't know. I don't feel like it's really that the paper towel itself is like scratching it more than the stuff you're putting on. I'm just not sure about the final finish though. Those cotton rounds seem to work. Now I did try I ordered some of the just cheap ones from Amazon. They worked okay. They were very similar to the Target brand ones. And then I also ordered some that said that they were lint free, and they feel rougher, honestly. I don't know. This doesn't feel much different from this. So I don't know, guys. Like I think that really, I think the only way to not get scratches is you would have to use microfiber material, but you have to be very careful that it's not getting wrapped up. Now, we've talked about the problem is if while you're applying this, if your towel gets wrapped up and it's not a rippable material, it can damage your fingers, right? You don't want to be using cottons and things that are not going to rip, even microfiber towels. However, and this is probably not even the one that I would use. There's even finer ones that are better for like applying this stuff. But I think if you cut little tiny squares out, and this is the thing, how much do you, it's going to probably be fairly disposable. And it's going to cost a bit of money, I think. But if you cut very small squares out, I think it could be safe. But you'd have to, evaluate that in your own shop with, your level of safety margins and all that stuff. So really, I don't know. I think that these Scott towels are fine. I don't know. The biggest thing is if you feel like you just are not getting, like there's just always scratches in the finish, then you would need to look into something. But I really think that the blue shop towels, this and Scott brand, Scott, and you can get these at like Target. They're just called shop towels. I think they're pretty good. I don't know. You can get all crazy about these finishes, in the end. Really, I've been using paper towels for quite a while. And I was using just the white ones, which those things are definitely abrasive. And even still, I was getting reasonable results with those. But I switched to these blue ones, and I've been pretty happy with it. So it's kind of one of those cases where you're like, well, if it ain't broke, it's really good enough. So I think you could just use that and be pretty good. The expert on CA finish. Yeah, I don't claim to be an expert on CA finishes. I'm just happy with my results. That looks fine. Good enough for me. And then there's that product, Glue Boost. A lot of people like that have used it. I've never used it. It's so expensive. I just, frankly, that's one that I don't even really care to try. Well, see, that's what you don't want. And it's always number 2 with this magic juice stuff. I don't know what the deal is with number 2. It's just like stickier than all the rest of them. Doesn't hurt anything, but I don't know. Like I have to put a lot of pressure on for that not to happen with the number 2. So I don't know. Who does number 2 work for? Yeah, there's lots of different microfibers out there. I don't really like the ones for eyeglasses, but there are other ones. I would look more into car polish, the ones that are made for like, buffing after like car washing stuff, because that's the same. It's the same thing. You're doing finishes, in there. Eyeglasses are fine too, but I don't really like those flat pads, the super flat ones. I want something that kind of holds some of the product a little bit. So just kind of look around, use whatever you want. There's lots of different options, but like I said, but you need to tread carefully with that, because that was a good demonstration of, when something gets caught up, it happens in 2 seconds. And even though that's not going to hurt me with these paper towels, it still scares you. You're like, oh. And, if that thing didn't, I got my hand out of there, or it didn't wrap up, but if it's something that's not going to rip and it wraps up on your finger, you're screwed. You're going to get really hurt. So, same thing goes with hair. If you have long hair, you really need to watch yourself around a lathe. Get it tied up, get a hat on, don't have it dangling down. Long sleeves is another one. You really need to watch out, because these things happen in so quickly that there's no way to get out of it. Let's say you can't avoid it once it starts. Your reactions are not fast enough, and you kind of have to ask yourself, it's a pen. Like, how worth it is, the danger? Is it really worth it to maybe get it just slightly more glossy? I don't know. All right, so we went through 4. Let's switch over to these cotton rounds. Again, I don't know if it's doing anything better or worse or what, but we'll just go to the cotton rounds for number 5 and 6, because I got a giant pack of them. It didn't really seem like there was. These cotton rounds are pretty absorbent, so that's another factor with this. I don't know. They're more absorbent than the blue towels, I would say. So your product is quite a bit of it's kind of like the CA glue with the other paper towels. Like, it seems like it's kind of absorbing a lot of that stuff rather than keeping it down there. Okay, so we got number 5 done, and then number 6 on this guy, and then we'll pull it off and I'll show you what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, hair, it's crazy. Even Amy over at Turner's Warehouse, I mean, she knows. Chadwell, I think, was standing there, and she got her hair somehow caught. Luckily it wasn't bad, but I mean, it takes just 2 seconds. Not even 2 seconds. It takes two micromilliseconds for something bad like that to happen, for something to get caught up, and there's, like I said, there's just nothing you can do. I mean, not to make this morbid, but I mean, there was a girl at one of the colleges that got her hair caught in it, and she died. I don't think anyone else was around, and it like wrapped her up and choked her to death. And it just, you just got to watch out. These machines, for anybody that's somewhat interested in machining, if you ever want to get into metal lathe or milling or like machine work like that, definitely check out Blondie Hacks on YouTube. She's really awesome, and I forget exactly how she puts it, but she's like, all these machines are trying to murder me the minute that I walk into the shop. So that's the way that you need to approach these things. They're trying to murder you. They're not your friend. They are literally trying to murder you every time you walk up to them. So you just have to be careful. That's looking pretty good. What do you guys think about that? I think that's gonna be a kind of a neat look. I like how that's kind of cool that there's just a little bit of resin down there too, at the bottom. All right, so we got a cap. We got cap. And then there's probably going to be some goo on the inside there, so I always wipe that off. You don't want that in the final, between the pen component and your blank when you assemble everything. And then again, these, you know, so there is a little bit of CA glue, that line, that ridge, that's CA glue that are on these bushings. And what I do is I just have a little jar here. It's my rosemary. No. I got a jar full of acetone, and I just drop them in there, let them sit. I mean, it doesn't even take that long. Depends on how much is on there, I guess, but I leave them in there maybe like overnight. It's not going to hurt the bushings, of course, even if you left them in. I mean, literally, I just pulled some out yesterday that were in there probably 30 days. So acetone ain't going to hurt your bushings, but it will dissolve all that stuff. It probably 30 minutes, even in the worst case scenario. It's probably all you would need. But honestly, in like two minutes is probably more. For most cases, that's all it's going to take to get that stuff off of there. Okay, so let's see here. Let's do the body. What do you guys think? Hey, welcome, William. Hope you're doing well tonight. I gotta get a drink here. This is my new favorite drink. There's like nothing in it. It's the coconut lime from Vitamin Water. This is not a paid advertisement. I just really like it. The flavor's good if you like coconut kind of flavor, but there's nothing in it. No sugars. There's 5 calories. Serving size is 1, so 5 calories in this whole bottle. But there's lots of vitamins and junk in it. I don't know if that's picking up on the screen, but I love the flavor. It's really good. The thing that bums me out is I can't find like a 12-pack or like a case of just that at like the grocery store, so I have to buy them one at a time at the gas station. It's a pain, but it's so worth it. I love them. I'm not even usually like a huge coconut person, but it basically tastes like a pina colada. It's really good. It's not just good, it's good enough. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, and me included, I'm very guilty of doing stuff like this. It's like, just stop. Like it's fine. It's not going to get much better. You've done good enough. I like that. All right, sorry, I was reading some comments there. I'm gonna get this thing a little bit closer here. It's not really sucking very well. I'm gonna close one of my other vents. There we go. Got to get that suction going. Alright, so this one shouldn't really look a whole lot different than the other one. So let's give it a shot. Let's take a look at it. Might have some pretty interesting, I got my power cable. I got it plugged in and I can't get my camera out then, so here we go. Look at that. We might get some interesting little swirls of the gold. Looking pretty good, I think. All right, let's go back over here. Keep on going. Keep on trucking. If you like pina colada, I love it. Need a drink, nice. see what's up. We're just having some fun making some shavings. Yeah, I know, it is kind of interesting. And another thing, for anybody that really doesn't have like a lot of experience or hasn't turned resin before, one thing to keep in mind is it's a solid material, right? And it's gonna feel different. If you're used to just turning, wood, like, walnut or whatever, just kind of standard wood blanks, there's like less material. Like the tool can move a lot faster through that material, and once you get to the resin, it's like it hits the brakes. And the reason is because there's basically particles of material everywhere, whereas with wood, it's got grain, and the material is just a little bit, it's a different density or whatever. So just be aware of that. Things feel a little bit different, but just watch your speeds of how fast you're moving the tool, and just be ready for that kind of speed change. Yeah, it digs in, you're taking, yeah, I was angling it a little bit. I'm having an issue, this tool rest, you can do that and it's fine. Some people think that it's gonna give you like a shearing cut. I don't know, that's not why I'm doing it. The problem is, my tool rest is bumpy, and it might even be the bottom of my tool, possibly. It's just kind of funky, and I'm getting like weird stuff holding it flat. So I'm just angling it, because running it on one point, everything's nice and smooth. So you can do that even if you just do it a little bit, but the thing is, you want to make sure that you're not rolling it. You got to hold it in place, So yeah, I am. That's the one thing that I kind of wish, like, if I had my own, if I could design my own carbide tool, I wouldn't make it a 1/4 inch or whatever the heck this is. I would want something more substantial so that it's not rolling, But, and this thing tends to kind of dig into the tool rest a little bit more. But you know what they say, you can want in one hand. And you know, I can wax the tool rest, but I mean, it's not even, I don't even think that's what it is. I don't know. Another thing that I might try out is the square tool rests. That might work better for the way that I move the tool, where they're like a kind of a bigger bar, or even like, I think you can get them custom made like a big flat bar. That might also help. I don't know. All right, let me stop this. I gotta look at the profile. Check the ends. Got a little bit to take off on that end. Just a tiny bit on this end. Okay. Yeah, a lot of times I will sand. I don't think it's my tool rest. I'm just feeling this. You can also just take a file. Oh, actually, yeah, no, there is a bump right there. Actually, that's one of my hang-up spots. A lot of times I'll even take a file to it. But like, that's what I'm saying though, is the reason for that is, I don't know, I tend to also push probably harder than I need to down. So it ends up kind of jacking my tool up and all that. I don't know. Like I said, a lot of times I'll just kind of roll it because everything goes nice and smooth if you're just on that little, the edge of it. Okay, so that's looking okay. I don't love the shape right there. It needs to come down also. So we got a little bit more work to do. Alright, so that was a little bit of a rough, bumpy thing. This is where I like to kind of pull out this the square guy, because I tend to be able to just kind of smooth out tool marks a little bit with this. I don't know why. Definitely not necessary, but for some reason it works for me. I like having that square guy in there. Alright, I'm just going to give this a quick hit with the sandpaper just to kind of see where the low spots are. It's actually looking pretty good. I need a new piece. New piece of 400 coming up. I got a little bit of a tool mark down on this end, so I'm going to actually drop down to 250 to 240 grit, and just do a little bit with that on the wood real quick. See if I can't get this out. That's looking better. I'm going to go back to that 400 real quick. Let's get this wood. Okay. Then we'll hit it with some denatured alcohol. And we'll apply some of the thin again. So I usually coat things first. I just lay down some of that super fast thin just so it can penetrate into any problems. Just in case there are any. The other thing about that is, you know, in theory, if there was something on the inside where there was a crack all the way down to the tube, this super fast thin should penetrate all the way in and even give you better, you know, adhesion to the tube. And that's the reason why I also, when I glue tubes in, I use super fast thin. I douse the inside of blanks so that it kind of fixes any cracks from the inside out. I really like that product. It's good because it will penetrate through capillary action into any kind of problem area. Okay. Do our applications here. And then for my applicator, like I said, I just use the, what are these? I always forget. Bounty. Just so you know. Yeah, Bounty. Yeah, Bounty is the brand. Not saying that you need to use these. Some people hate them actually, so just be aware of that. What I do is I just roll it over a few times, and that way it doesn't get on my fingers. Oh, I need to spray this guy with the acceleration. There we go. All right, Mike, have a good one. Thank you for joining the fun. Hey, Jennifer's here. How's it going? The wood butcher's in the house. You're fine. You're catching the good parts. We got the cap part done already. So now we're just working on finishing up the body here. But overall, everything's going good. Okay, one more coat, I think, and we'll be golden. And I'm doing this pretty quick. I'm applying it, you know, and I'll be sanding it very soon after applying it. I think you're probably going to get better results if you give it a little bit of time to kind of harden up. Obviously, I don't want to sit around on the live stream. But it will kind of sand a little bit better when it's harder. So, you know, giving it a little bit of time to kind of harden up before you go straight to that sandpaper will probably give you some better results. However, having said that, if you're in a hurry or doing a live stream, it still works, even if you do it this way. So, okay, so I think that should be pretty good. The other thing is I'm gonna, you know, the first one that I do is actually dry sanding, but then I go into wet sanding, and I mean the water's actually gonna make it cure a little bit faster anyway. So I think that kind of helps a little bit. All right, and then I'm gonna hit it with that 500 grit. The other thing that this pad does is it tends to kind of get into any of those little areas that are a little bit low. I didn't do that on the first one, but I usually do. And it just kind of takes care of some of the, like I said, those low areas. Without having to take all the material off. All right, we can stop the dust collector. That's great. That's good news. Ken's here. What's up, man? You made it. Just in time, too. Just about to finish this guy up. All right, I want to look at this, see where we're at. One thing that really helps if you're really looking for flawless finish and doing all that stuff, or trying to get in and like really see what your finish is doing, highly recommend picking up one of these spotlight type things. And what you want to do is have it coming and like angling off, you know, like they call it a raking light. That way you can really see, you know, what are the scratches looking like. And because I'm blind now, you can really see what the scratch pattern looks like. And at this point, you know, I can tell that that's all, you know, the green, this grit. So I don't need to mess with that any longer. But it definitely helps when you're trying to polish. And, you know, like I said, the only issue is sometimes getting the microscope out and inspecting like crazy is just basically a recipe for frustration, because it's very difficult to get every single scratch out of these things. And you can end up kind of just running around in circles, or sitting there sanding and polishing for 5 hours and redoing it. And, you know, when it really, again, it's one of those things, it's good enough. Like it doesn't, no one's going to see that. Nobody's pulling out a microscope with a raking light and, you know, all these things. It's only you. So you just have to decide what's enough. Where's the stopping point? And it's oftentimes a lot sooner than you think it might be. Okay, now I'm going to pop these bushings off, I think at this point, before I go through the polishing steps. I don't think they're going to be that tight, but you never know. Oh, they are a little bit. Okay, so here's my method of, this is how I usually do it. I just kind of tap them on my tailstock. And that generally pops them loose, and I've never really gotten any cracking or anything like that. It's just enough to break it loose. And then, like I said, the only reason I have a mandrel is for squaring up the ends of these things. Where did I put it? So there's probably, for anybody that's just joining the fun, there's probably some little bits of CA that are kind of hanging over, that were little craggles that we do not want there. So we're just going to square the ends up, get it all flushed up, get rid of any CA craggles. We don't want craggles. And also, even if there wasn't something that was like kind of hanging off, like a jagged edge, if that CA finish is just slightly hanging over the edge, it's just proud of the blank itself. If, and this is a big kind of if, but what happens is when you press your pen together, you know, press the parts in, if there's extra material hanging over just a little bit, and you press it up against that, it's going to crack well, it maybe won't every time, but a lot of times it's going to crack the finish. And that's happened to me in the past, and I was like, what, you know, you're assembling it and the finish cracks. And you're like, what just happened? And I finally figured out that that's caused by, you know, if your CA finish is hanging over and you basically are pressing parts onto it, then you can get a crack because it has nowhere to go, you know. Once I learned that, it made sense. So I always kind of just clear off the edge. And I clear off I'm doing the same thing on the bushings just to make sure there's nothing there that can kind of cause a problem. Again, if you want to be super careful about it, then you can just use acetone. Dunk your bushing in acetone for a couple minutes, and it'll definitely take all that, any CA off. Okay, so we're back there. So time to polish. And I like to do that before I've done all the steps, because if for some reason something goes wrong, I don't want to. Usually I do it before I even get done sanding and all that stuff. Like after the 400 or, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood early on. I just kind of forgot. Okay, so I'm going to go get a new piece of the Scott towels. I really wish I could figure out like if there was like a way to test the abrasiveness of all these different things. Got to be some sort of an abrasion test. I'm going to go up to step 4, and then we'll switch to those cotton rounds, which seem to be a little bit softer. I don't know. Like I said, go back and I kind of talked about the cotton rounds thing and all that, and I'm just not entirely certain. Exactly how I feel about those things. They're fine. I don't think they're necessary though. Necessarily. Okay, so step 1. Let's see, Tim's talking about streaming here. Once I get this done, I'm gonna check that comment out. Yeah, as many as 8 people watching. That's cool. I mean, honestly, that's how it started for me. Because I started streaming on Twitch, and I mean, I had like 0 audience there to begin with. I mean, it was like eight people maybe. So I hear you. The thing is, like, it doesn't really matter if there's 1 or, I mean, heck, even 0, because people can, you know, depending on how you do it, people can watch the replay. And so, you know, you might be kind of talking to yourself for a while, but if you just act like somebody's watching, it's cool. And somebody might watch it later. I don't know if you do the replays, you know. All right, so here's the dreaded number. See, every single time with the number 2. I don't understand what it is about the number 2. I almost just don't even want to use it because it just basically pisses me off. I don't know what the deal is with number 2. Whatever. All the rest of them work fine. That one always hangs up. Look at that. You're going on just fine. Is it the way I'm doing it? I don't know. Oh, is the camera not on? Oh, sorry. I'm really not doing a whole lot of anything. This is what you missed, basically. Using number 2, it wrapped up again. the paper wrapped up again. I don't know what the deal is with that one. It's sticky. Yeah, the replay. So you're good. It's just like kind of hanging out with some folks, you know? Yeah, people love, I mean, sure. I mean, that's, if you're selling pens, and like I said, I am not an expert pen seller or any of that stuff. But, I mean, people love to hear what's the story behind this. That's why they're buying it, you know? Like, if they wanted just a factory-made whatever and don't really care about it, then they'd buy a factory-made whatever. If they're buying it from a custom maker, they want to know that stuff. And if they can see it being made, because it's one thing to explain it, it's even better to, you know, be able to watch the action. See the action unfold before their eyes. Because frankly, I mean, a lot of us, you know, we know how these things are made, right? If you're a pen turner, you know how pens are turned, how they're made. But if you really think about it, I mean, it is pretty miraculous how we do these things. Once you learn, you're like, oh, that's not that hard, or, you know, whatever. But, I mean, it's pretty cool, actually. And to somebody that doesn't know how to do that, doesn't have the tooling, you know, has never seen that done before, they're like, whoa. You can make that by hand? And it is pretty, I mean, that's actually how I got into woodwork, because before I got into turning, this started with woodworking. I wanted to make some office furniture or whatever, cabinets, desk kind of stuff. And in my head, I'm just thinking like this most simple thing, but I tend to be like, oh, okay, let me look into this and, you know, become a pro. But no, I wasn't entirely certain. I wanted some tips on woodworking. How does this all work? And what I found was, because I had, you know, I knew how to use a hammer and screws and all that, you know, simple stuff, a jigsaw. But I wasn't sure about certain things. So I was like, well, you know, I'll buy some books, you know, magazines. And this is, you know, I don't know how many years ago, almost 20, maybe 15 to 20. The internet wasn't as accessible back then. So I'm looking at those, you know, those things, and what ended up happening was I stumbled upon routers, because I really didn't know how like molding and all that, like the shapes and all those things were made on wood, like cabinets and stuff. The profiles, I had no clue how that, never knew how that was made. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get into this. This is easy. It's not that hard, you know. Woo, that's looking pretty good. That's a good finish. Okay. So let's get this thing off of here. We'll give you guys a quick, stuck on the thing. Here we go. Give you guys a view of this. Stop wiggling, man. Okay. Woo. What do you guys think? I think it's going to be a winner. All right, so, I'm tripping over the camera. Again, there's some CA glue on these bushings, so I have just a jar full of acetone. And I just dunk them in there with the other ones. And I'll let them sit for, you know, depends. I mean, if I had to make another pen, I mean, a matter of minutes is really all you need. And then just wipe them down. Just make sure you got all that CA glue off. But I just generally leave I'm usually not like cranking out a bunch of pens or something. So just leave it overnight, take them out whenever I get to it, and good to go. All right, so let me get the assembly area set up over here real quick. I know there's not a whole lot going on that camera, but soon there will be. Okay. All right, so let's switch to this camera. Zoom in a little bit. Okay. So again, I'm using a Junior Herald kit. I don't know where I got it. Might have been Exotic Blanks or Wood Turnings, or I don't know. These days I pretty much buy all the stuff from Turners. I've had these kits for a while and I don't exactly know where I purchased them from. But looked like it'd be kind of cool for this kit, so, or for this blank, I mean. All right, let's see here. So I'm gonna actually put some gloves on just because my hands I got some of the polishes and junk. And I'd rather just not get fingerprints and stuff all over this. So nicely polished. Yeah, the acetone jar is the best way to do it. Okay, so I'm tipping this over because I want to try and line these up. I guess you could do it either way. Well, at this point, I'm locked in. I chose to put the pen this way. You know, but realistically, this wouldn't have been a bad way to go either. It's different. So if you're one of the people, if you ever make a blank, you know, doing the wedge style thing, it's because this is what the blank looked like in the beginning. I just basically put a couple wood wedges in there. But you could do it a couple different ways. Now, like I said, I've set it up. This is what I had in mind. But I'm going to flip it over and try and line these points up when I put the kit together. Okay, so the Herald's got some knurling on it that I thought was kind of, oh God, kind of cool. Oh, I lost a piece. Make sure I got that thing on right. Okay, so I'm going to twist this in real good. And what I want to do is just, that fits. I'm going to actually have to glue this one, which actually in this case is easier. So that makes it easy. I don't have to worry about messing up the threads or anything like that. What I'm going to do is we're going to get this guy situated first. Okay. And then I can do the cap, because basically all I need to do is just twist this thing on, and then I got to put some glue in here. But this piece is very, I don't know. It doesn't have, there's no need to press it, basically. Which happens sometimes. Not a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to take this thing off. And we're going to do this. Okay. Just like that. And our cap. So next step, I'm going to get, and so I'm guessing that this thing doesn't need to be pressed either. That one could be pressed. Just this piece. That's interesting. Okay, so now we got to look. So here's the finial. I don't know if you can see it. It has a little bit of a weird kind of pattern thing. Kind of cool looking. I don't know. I thought it was kind of a neat kit. So the question is, though, I'm gonna screw this thing on. Oh, and actually, that's kind of an interesting thing too. If we really wanted to, you could put it sideways on one part. Ooh. Wow, this thing's pretty cool. So like, I mean, realistically, you could do all. I gotta be honest. I almost like it better being off kilter, or even like this, where it's you get kind of a stripe. So like these blanks are actually, I never thought about this. There's a lot of different ways you could do this. What do you guys like? I kind of like this. I mean, I know that the resin's not necessarily lining up, but I don't really think that matters so much. So here's another way. You could do it like a 90-degree to each other. And that's pretty cool. I mean, I like that too. I got to be honest. I'm going to drop this thing because my stupid camera's not focusing. Kind of interesting. Now this is this is like normal. That's how it would have been. And I mean, that's cool too. It's kind of like a window into time. I don't I don't know what to do. Actually, I should just ask, what do you like, Brian? So yeah, you like the spiral? Like, so the two pieces are kind of backwards to each other? I think that's pretty cool. Huh. Yeah, like I said, I've never made blanks like this. I've never done these like kind of wedge things, and so you know, I was like, I don't even really know what to expect. Now, which way do you like the whatever, the clip thing? That's kind of cool if it's on its side, I guess. That's on the front. You could also do it on, that's pretty cool, on a diagonal. Yeah, the diagonal's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a pretty cool blank. So while I'm waiting for the answer, so we only have 2 more blanks left, guys. All the other ones have sold. There's 1 koa blank left, and this guy's a pretty big sucker. It's like a good one. What are the dimensions of this thing? It's the same price as all the rest. The wood, and this is not stabilized, so it's about a 1 by 1 and it's about a 1-inch square, and it's a little bit over 6 inches long. So we got 1 piece of koa, and these guys, the koa wood blanks, are going for $25. 100% of the proceeds are going to the Maui Strong Fund, so I'm not taking anything. And then we got 1 of these guys, and these guys are $50. And again, we just priced them there to raise money, basically. But this is going to be pretty much the same as this blank. All right, so let me just make sure you like it on the side. Is that kind of what we're thinking? Let me get on camera here. Oh, I'm twisting it. Like something like that. Camera's reversed. So I apologize. I'm just gonna lay it down like this, and you just tell me. No, it's not gonna stay. Like I said, I gotta glue that other piece back in. I just want to know what the clip. Where do you want to do the clip thing? Kind of like that, actually. Lined with the gold. I don't know. What do you think about this one though? Let me make sure, yeah. Oh, am I on the camera? It's hard, I'm trying to do things and... I think that might be the kind of the show side. This kit is the Junior Herald. I've had it forever. I don't know where I got it. Yeah, I'm thinking this is probably going to be a winner right there. Okay. Hold on a minute. Let me just double check I know where this thing is supposed to go. Okay. This can get difficult really quick. Ooh, I think I nailed it. Okay. All right, so I want it to line up. I'm just making sure I don't screw this up at this point. I want to make sure that I'm going to line up this hump with that thing. All right, so all we need is a little, like I said, a little bit of glue. I would not recommend, you want to use something that's kind of in the middle, like on the thicker side, so it doesn't run all over the place. And you don't really need a lot, okay? So it's one of them types of deals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the, I want to put it inside the cap so that I'm pushing it in rather than putting it on this thing where it's going to push it up against, you know, out where you may end up seeing it. I'd rather it being pushed in. And so what I'm using, this one I've found is a pretty cool one too, is the Starbond medium thick. It's a good one for these kind of random. It's thick enough where it's not going to run, but it's also kind of thin. All right, so I'm just going to put a couple dabs. I actually kind of got a little crazy with that, so I'm going to take a toothpick and thin this out a little bit. Spread it around the cap in there, because I got a little bit. They have little tips that would have been a good thing to use. Just want to add one more little blip just to make sure that I'm getting it in there. And then let's see here. So, and I've got time. This isn't going to set up like immediately. I think I might need a little bit of pressure here. There we go. All right. And then I'm just going to set that aside. I don't want to mess with that right now for quite a while. I want to make sure that that sets up. So I'm not going to be able to get, you know, like a final picture. But one other little tip on your threads. Can you hear that? That's horrible, right? So to fix that, very simple. Grab a little bit of paste wax, and you're going to be like, wow. And I've found that you really only need to do it once. I don't think that I've ever had that squeak ever come back on any of the pens that I own. So, I mean, even if it did, you just apply a little bit more, but. So this is just Renaissance wax. Doesn't matter. I've literally, back when I did sell pens, like on Etsy, I actually forgot to do that, to do this step in the shop one time, and I was like, oh man, what do I do? And I just basically took like candle wax and just kind of rubbed the threads with candle wax. So in a pinch, you can even just use candle wax on these things, and it'll fix the problem. So a little bit of wax there. Oh yeah. Did you hear that? I didn't either. Okay, so we got that one done, and then do the nib threads here real quick. All right. Let's put some ink in this guy. Where'd the ink go? Oh, there it is. And it's one of the nice Schmidt inks. That's good. No squeaks. There we go. This turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. And I don't want to touch this too much. Like I said, especially on this part, you really just want to set this thing aside for like 24 hours. Because the way it works is you have to screw this in, and it can screw up your alignment, you know. So I don't want to really touch this or assemble it. I'll get pics. We're actually going to the air races tomorrow, so I'll have to get the pictures on Monday. But I'll post pics of this guy. And there's that cap, if it'll kind of show. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know why it's not really working. You know, it's got kind of a... there's just too many glares going on. It's got little marks on that. It's got knurling on the connector cap thing, whatever it is. And then just kind of flat, you know, nothing going on the bottom. But it's also got these, so there's raised little bumps here, right there, and then there's also these little raised bumps on the center band. I guess that's what it's called, center band, and up here. So it's kind of an interesting kit. I don't know. I don't think Turner's Warehouse carries it. I don't know. Let me actually. I guess I didn't even look. So let me look and see if Turner's has it. And I'll get you a link if they do. Oh, maybe that's where I got it. They got the full size. Oh, there it is. Oh, they're sold out. Oh, guys, they're sold out. Maybe they have gunmetal. Nope. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop a link for you guys. And what you should do is go there. If you want one of these kits, head over to Turner's Warehouse, and there's a little thing to sign up for when they get them back in stock. There's also a full-size Herald, which was kind of cool looking also, so check that out when you're on there. All right, so I'm going to switch to the intro because I don't want to touch this thing anymore. I get like kind of scared when, like, once something's done, I'm like, I don't even want to touch it. Just walk away. Just walk away. Don't look at it. Especially if I'm sending it like it's an order. That's why I don't really sell pens, because it just stresses me out. Finished item. Blanks are fine. I even get kind of stressed about those, but like, it's not like it needs to be perfect, you know, polished and perfect and all this stuff. Like, it's just a pen blank, right? They're gonna cut it and turn it and all this stuff. With like finished products, I'm like, just I hope it makes it, kind of thing. Go with your heart. That's funny. Let's see here. So Mike McEwen's here. Nice. Yeah, how was the trip? Let's see. Oh, just checking in. Nice. That's cool. Pick out a few goodies. Nice. Cool. Oh yeah, 6 hours. Oh, nice. I haven't seen Bradley or Michael for a long time. That's cool. Yeah, sometime I want to get up to Colorado for, you know, either a turning symposium type event or a pen show maybe. I think it's pretty small, but there's a pen show up there. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, you got to really kind of watch out with the CA glue. You could use epoxy as well. I don't think it's necessary really. I've never really, you know, this happens. Sometimes the parts are just, you know, like, I don't know, cast, or I don't know how they make these things, but they just end up not the right diameter. You know, they're loose fitting, and I've never had one come apart after the fact. So, you know, I think it's okay. But again, so we got 2 blanks out of all the blanks that we've made and sold for the Maui Strong Fund. There's only 2 left. All right, so we got one of the hybrids. So this one's gonna look, I mean, almost exactly like the one I just made. And then we got this one, it's a 1-inch guy. So $25 and then $50 for this one. Stabilized wood, non-stabilized, just to let you guys know. But those guys are available on the website. So I'm hoping that we can sell out of those guys. If we sell those 2, the total amount raised, including this pen. So this pen was for KidCooper. He doesn't turn, just to give you guys the story again for anybody that's kind of didn't hear it before. He doesn't turn, but he wanted to help out with the Maui Strong, so he's basically kind of like buying the pen since he couldn't make a pen. So the $100 from this pen is going into the Maui Strong Fund. So in total, with the first fundraiser, we made $1,100 there, and the second one added on, the total is going to be like $1,800. So if we can sell those 2, we're at $1,800. It's pretty sweet. I only have 1 left. Nice. I love it. That's what I love. Thanks a lot, Mark. I appreciate it. Nice. Yes. Yeah, so this thing will be ready to ship out on Monday for you. So I'll get that thing going. So tomorrow we're headed to the air show, the Reno Air Races, which I'm a little bit disappointed. It's the last year they're doing it. It's like one of our favorite events, things that happens up here. So we're kind of bummed. It's fun that we're going to get to go tomorrow. We're looking forward to it, but it's the last one. So, well, another thing that you know ends. Been going since I was a kid, so I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. So I won't be posting anything because I'll be up in Reno, but I'll post some stuff. I'll get a video and everything. It'll be even better because I can get the lighting how I want it, and so you guys can really see this pen because it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy. I wasn't sure. Sometimes, you know, like I said, I've never done a blank like this before, and so I'm like, I don't know. It seems like it'd be cool, but until you actually turn it, you're like, who knows how it's gonna look. But I appreciate all you guys joining the fun tonight, or this afternoon, I guess, depends on where you're at. And I appreciate everybody that supported the Maui Strong Fund fundraising that we've done. It's been amazing. So like I said, these are the last 2. plus the pen, and then I think we did a pretty good job. I'm pretty proud of what we accomplished. So awesome, and it's mostly you guys. I mean, I appreciate all of the support from you guys. So let's see here. Is there any other little questions or? Oh yeah, the invoice, that would help, huh? I'll get that thing. Hybrid blanks sold out. Yes, sweet. I appreciate it, guys. You guys rock. So next week we'll be back to resin casting. We'll be doing some playing around. I got a couple ideas. I'm not sure which direction we're going to go yet, but it should be pretty fun. So next week, and don't forget, guys, Turner's Warehouse is every Saturday they have a sale. All their junior independence kits are on like 25% off sale. 25% off. Like they have just the kits, and they have like 4 different platings. Plus they have like their bundle kit thing. It comes with all 4 platings plus the bushings. So it's a junior style kit, and it's a really good one. So, you know, for like 4th of July or, you know, patriotic type of blanks, Veterans Day is coming up. It's a really good kit, and 25% off. Like I'm thinking about going and buying some. So head over to Turner's Warehouse. You can use that link to get over to their website, but that's on their homepage. Check that out. And sign up for their newsletter, because they got lots of sales that they do. So just wanted to kind of share that. So anyway, guys, I hope you had a great night. Thanks for joining the fun, and I'll see you guys on the next stream.